everyone's had a good day. And it's late here in Australia, and my name is Skye. I am a raw vegan. I've healed myself from multiple diseases with a raw food diet. So I had multiple viruses, had over 60 surgeries, 7 major organs removed, had severe mast cell activation syndrome. I had, what else did I have? I feel like the list can be so long, and I try and share that every time I come on. But usually I come on and I share recipes or my food hauls or all different things. But I am in my pajamas because I wasn't even going to come on today. But a lot of the time, what inspires me to come on is all the messages I get from you guys on different topics that I talk on. Hello. Hey, party boy. I get inspiration from a lot of emails, text messages, comments from you guys on topics. And look, I got up this morning and I did not feel great. And this comes off the back of last night, I did a high histamine food. And I have been doing a low histamine diet with high omega 3s, and that has been keeping me really well. And I then can usually get away with having a higher histamine meal a couple times a week. Well, apparently not now. I woke up bloated. I also woke up at 3 a.m. and I was getting histamine dumping. So if you've had mast cell activation syndrome, you'll know you can get something called histamine dumps, which mean that you get the histamine buildup in your system. It's trying to break down histamines during the day. If you don't know what mast cell activation syndrome is, mast cells are in the body. They go into sites of inflammation, and we love that. You get a bruise, you get a bump, you get redness and swelling. That's the immune system working. But what happens when that continues after you've had a virus? Or you've had COVID, and you have symptoms of like chronic fatigue, you have anxiety, you have heart palpitations. All these things can be mast cell activation syndrome. I am not a doctor, so definitely you want to go check out and find out if you do have it. But if you do, it is kind of a swamp. You don't even know where to start. Hello, guys. Yeah, it's like a swamp. Trying to figure out mast cell activation is like, I don't know, trying to find a needle in a haystack. So I share as much as I can, and a lot of your guys' feedback helps me, well, interpret myself, help with others. And the big overlay here is a lot of women who are going into premenopausal, perimenopausal, menopausal, are having all of these symptoms which seem to be unregulated, more so than just hormonal imbalance, because histamine issues can be caused by hormonal imbalances as well. So they can literally be caused by anything. The other thing that really has been coming up for me lately, and I talk about, is the addiction side. So I was on massive amounts of opioids, I was addicted to alcohol, vapes, and cigarettes. And what I noted today is, instead of getting the pain signals from the mast cell activation, I seem to get addiction callings, like cravings, basically, like go and have a cigarette, go and have some coffee. Now, I'm a raw foodist. I stay well by not having those things. Those things don't serve me. But I forget. It's like you're in denial. I forget that my body could possibly be in pain, and it was in pain. It does not send me normal pain signals. I was in chronic pain, had regional pain syndrome, I had chronic pain. I was on all things including ketamine, Botox in the spine for pain, morphine. I used to use cigarettes when I got in pain, coffee. I guess I didn't realize how much I used them until I get a mast cell activation flare up and I don't register the pain in my body. I start craving things until I stop and I go, okay, there's pain in my body that I'm not actually recognizing here. And I share this because I know a lot of people are going through something similar. And then we spend a whole day battling what we think is a demon when actually we are in pain and we are suffering. It's just the pain signals, I believe, over a lifetime can change if we've used something to deal with pain. And that pain, as people have said to me, can be emotional, it can be physical, it can be trauma, it can be, you know, for me, it's when a pain comes up, which is more familiar to my body protects me from it and just sends me a drug signal. And when I mean drugs, I still mean cigarettes or alcohol or coffee. And it's taken me a while to recognize this. I actually deal with this quite well. I like to do cold ocean dunks. I like to do running. I'm well now, so I can do all these things. But I start to just notice that these come up. And the more I can sit in the space of, come on, Sky, what is going on? And for me, it's usually a reoccurrence of I've just had too many histamine. So I don't really have any health problems, but I deal with these histamine issues. I have been in menopause for 14 years since I had my I had a complex hysterectomy, so I'm definitely in menopause. And it seems I get contacted by a lot of women in menopause who have these symptoms which cannot be explained just by hot flushes or moodiness. There's like extreme, especially the way histamines play a role in the sleep wake cycle. They're neurotransmitters in the brain. They do say a lot of people who have go crazy is a histamine overload. And I've been in a psychiatric unit, and I'll tell you what, is every person in that unit has gut issues, massive gut issues. Besides the drugs they put them on make your gut out here, you see people's mouths around the edge. When my gut is inflamed, you will see acid burn, acid reflux around my mouth. I have no stomach. And I was talking to a kinesiologist and to chiropractor about this, and he said it makes sense that you basically lost your mind because neurotransmitters are made in the brain, in the gut, and I don't have a stomach. But back to the brain and the histamines is, it seems there's this overlay with addiction, histamines and mood and sleep and wake and menopause. Histamines are involved with everything really in the body. They can be, but a lot of people are struggling here and do not see this overlap. Interesting that you bring up coffee as an addictive substance, because it's true. People will hate on drinkers and druggies, not realizing that their 3 cups of coffee are also a major addiction. And I've spoken on this, like, about how anything that you need that isn't water or at least one meal of any food a day is an addiction. Like, if you can't get up and just go on with your day, like, you have to get the kids to school or you have to go to the gym without thinking about something, and it could be, just say you've swapped this for lemon water and you're like, yeah, okay, I can skip this today. It's not going to make a huge difference to your overall day. But if you literally can't function, that's where addiction and regulation of the brain and mood, you're trying to control that externally. And I think that is really important, because what I'm bringing up here is it may be that you're going to that to numb a pain or something you're going through. And it's worth recognizing that. Look, I have one matcha a day. If I have more, I swing into anxiety. I find it helps with focus. But in truth, the days I skip it, it's not a biggie. In fact, I sometimes think I go have I sometimes just want green juice instead. But the days when, like today, where I have had a high histamine meal last night and I wake up with my eyes a bit like, they're better now, a bit like together. And the biggest thing was my stomach was so swollen. And I'm like, okay, I'm anxious, I'm wound up. But beyond that, I start getting signals for needing things. Like, as in, like, obsessively need to have, like, coffee. Today it was stimulants, okay? And usually I notice stimulants come in because if I did, and I've done this before when I was having histamine flares, if I did have a coffee, the speeding up of the system eliminates things faster. But that is a drug can do something like that, but there's a back end to this where caffeine will stimulate the nervous system and more likely make mast cell activation worse. But when you're in a panic and you're in anxiety, your body goes to what it's learnt in the past. And I assume a lot of my life is when I've had a symptom. What do you have at your disposal? Cigarettes and coffee. Well, many people don't smoke. I smoked when I was in a lot of pain or distress many times. Then I'd quit for a year or two. Then when I'd get really bad, it would come back. Vaping, but coffee and alcohol is something we can regulate. And I'm not saying don't have them. I'm saying to get to know yourself, if you literally can't get through something because of something that has a stimulating or mind altering effect, you're addicted. And where how that played, because as I said, is I don't get sent pain signals as much. Even when I broke my toe, I kept running and doing Pilates until it started to displace. And I was craving coffee. I don't feel pain. I seem to just want coffee. Now, I can't be the only one. I've been on very heavy medications, OxyContin for years, Valium, SSRIs, stimulant medication for ADHD. And the one that comes up the most is the one that I have the most access to, which is probably because I did it from a young age. I started drinking coffee at about 16 or 17. So it's had a longer lifespan with me. Plus, it's in your face a lot. So it's something to think about. Let's see. Where does the food go with no stomach? Good question. So when most people eat, the food goes down this way and then this way and then this way, all the way down and then kind of back up and around. With me, it goes straight down to the intestines. There's no duodenum and there's no stomach. There's no duodenum and there's no top of the next ileum part of the intestines. It goes straight down to the jejunum. I can't remember if it's ileum or jejunum. One of them is part of it's missing. And so it just dumps. And that gets problematic if you eat a lot of sweets or something, because the digestive system lower down in the small intestine is what absorbs sugars. And they're not slowly coming from the stomach in here, broken down. They're just coming whole. And if you've seen photos of me, if you're new here, I usually bring the photos up just so you guys can see how sick I got. And a lot of these photos, I was under medical care with a lot of protein shakes, Ensure and Sustagen, and I just couldn't put on weight. And no doctor ever said anything about raw food. Even plant-based cooked food did not serve me. It was only when I got on a raw food diet that I started absorbing foods again. So that was me back in 2017, and they thought I was going to not make it here, but I did. I basically had a break with reality, lost a lot of my memory, was dissociated. I guess I had PTSD, but I didn't process trauma till later on. And when I started this raw food diet, I had been drinking for 4 months. I've been sick for 32 years, but the last 4 months I got into alcohol to numb the post-traumatic stress or the replaying of trauma. And my liver was failing. Most of my hair had fallen out. You can see my eyes look dead. And well, I mean, I don't know how well I'm looking tonight. I'm on my bed with my hair done, ready for bed. But we get the gist that I'm doing a lot better. But back here, a lot of what I was trying to numb with alcohol or vaping or anything I did was that my skin constantly felt like it was crawling, to the point it was like being driven insane. It was like my eyes scratched, my tinnitus scratched, my skin scratched so much. And it's essentially mast cell activation syndrome or histamines. This histamine overload. Remember, if you don't have a stomach, so in the stomach, what breaks down histamines is DAO, diamine oxidase, and it breaks down histamines from food. I don't have a stomach. There was a little portion left of the stomach, but it just dropped over time. So I am someone more likely to get histamine issues. But these histamine issues come up as well as you age, but especially I'm noticing a lot of women contacting me saying they just hit perimenopause and menopause, and then, they can't eat histamine foods, or they wake up at 3 a.m. every night. And when they cut out histamines or a lower histamine diet, they're much more regulated. And I talk a lot how I'm using omega-3s from chia and flaxseed and flax oil, and that's really helping me. But as I'm talking about now, last night, I had a higher histamine meal, which I usually can tolerate, but now apparently I can't. It was just not a great day. But also off the back of that, what I did to deal with what I was suffering is what I would have, this was more extreme here, but it's funny how instead of saying, Skye, your gut hurts, or Skye, your skin's crawling, it's this overwhelming feeling that I need something. That's all my brain keeps just sending me this message. And the same thing happened. It didn't even know my toe was broken. Like, I just kept going, okay, I'll do more exercise. All I wanted to do is do more exercise until then I was craving coffee. And I wonder, so many people must do this. It can't just be me, is that you're not actually getting a signal for your emotional pain or your physical pain. You're actually getting sent a message for something stimulating. So let me, where are we? Here we go. We're back. Sky, do you believe trauma can ever truly be healed? Because I've heard so many people say it's always just a journey that's never truly over. As a trauma survivor, I want to think that's not true. So I think you can see where someone is on their journey in their trauma processing by how they look. So if you look at me at different times, you will see I actually look broken. And as I started to, and I always talk about when, because I've had over 60 surgeries, 7 major organs removed, I literally missed my entire life. My life started, thank God, at 40. And as I started to finally heal, there was no difference. So when I finally started to heal, there was no difference between me healing psychologically, spiritually, physically, emotionally, in all aspects. Every time I tried to heal over most of my life, it had been a surgery, a drug, I don't know, something that's very specific to physical, trying to just cut out the stomach, cut out the, the organs, right? Is true healing does not happen in any other way but when all of these things happen all at once. And that's why food plays such a vital role, because no pill, you can, if you take a pill, and I always say this, you don't have to be eating raw food today, but part of the healing process of the trauma can only happen when you start moving towards your higher self, which comes in alignment with better food, better choices, better music, more nature, better thoughts. And that can seem really overwhelming. And I believe the truest place to start when you're deep in the dark is just start moving towards better food choices. And that might be when I've spoken about my addictions before, when I came off prescription medications like fentanyls and opioids and stimulant medication. Is first off, I was proud of myself for just using coffee and cigarettes and lollies. Like, here, I'm not having hard things. But then I got to this point where I was also in the background of that being like, okay, I'll swap the coffee now for tea. It doesn't have to be like instantaneously. And I've always said, remember, it's like a game. Is what the lessons that I learn in level 1 of the game, like, you know, that I had to use cigarettes and coffee to come off the hard stuff, is you will thrive higher up in level 10 because you mastered the lower levels. You cannot skip levels. I'm just going to water fast, or I'm just going to juice and this will fix all my trauma. No, you will process things extremely. You'll go back and forth. You're better working on yourself wherever you're at. And back to that trauma is, I believe trauma starts to change in a person, and that it's always there, and it can sometimes feel like it's become up again. And that's just that few steps forward, few steps back, but it starts to become your strength. So the reason I can get on here and talk is because of the extreme trauma I've been through. Is that I'm like, well, I overcame this, and I've overcome that, and I learnt this, and I'm sharing this. And the more I sit in this healing heart space journey, so it's like the answer is yes and no. That I'm at a stage now where I don't want to lose my trauma. My trauma is my buddy, my strength, my guiding force. The reason I know now that I'm asking for addictive things when I get into pain is because of my trauma. I've been through it, and I understand that I've done these patterns through my life. So it's changes. Trauma changes, but it only changes when you look after you. And those ways of healing don't have to be complex. Like, as I've said, is nature's always there. You know, I at the start could barely get outside. There was a grassy knoll and a tree out the back. I used that. I just made better choices. And the more choices you move towards your higher self and love, things can't not heal. Like, they just can't not. Breathing is great. Yes. Hello. Good morning, Crafty Clark. Is there a lot of cattle in Australia? There is, yes. The sound is going in and out. Is that still happening? Please tell me if it is. One sec. Thank you. I have been through a lot. Thank you. You're missing half of what I'm saying. Is Party Boy, are you still there? Is this happening? Let me just move down here. You sound good now. Thank you, Hillbilly Deluxe. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, Sky, how much were you drinking? You're a strong woman. It takes a lot. You're an inspiration. Thank you. I actually love to say this, but you guys help me more than anything in this part of my healing journey. And the healing journey is always changing. Is in fact, I don't even think when I didn't completely have a lot of my memories with me that I understood I was on a healing journey. It was more survival, and that's okay too. But there's so much value in looking after yourself. So, Sky, how much were you drinking in those 4 months? As a bartender and friend, I'm just curious, how much was for you to get your liver failure after such a relatively short period of binge drinking? Now, remember that when I started binge drinking, I had been through it. I had my stomach removed. I've had over 60 surgeries. My liver had taken beltings for years. I had been a smoker. I had been in psychiatric units, more drugs injected, but had ketamine, had Botox in the spine. I'm surprised I didn't have liver problems before then. Okay. Then I'd come out of another psych unit where they put me back on stimulants and SSRIs. So, there's never not been a huge amount of chemicals in my system. I was only drinking about a bottle of wine a day. And I would slowly top that up with little bits of vodka. It was not much. This is why the psychologists are like, well, it's just helping her. It's not uncommon for someone to come home from work and have a bottle of wine every night. We're not talking about massive amounts here. But I think you have to remember, because I studied psychology. I'm like, I've got about 2 years of this. I got about 2 years of numbing myself with alcohol. No, I would start because I had this FND as well. My hair had already fallen out. Not a good place to be. My hair fell out more with the alcohol, but that would have been my liver failing. So that's why I think it's more you get a healthy person have a bottle of wine a day. That's just a bender for 4 months. But for me, that's the thing. It was the tipping point where it was just sipping on it to slow these like processes coming through. Hello, India. Have you tried chicory as an occasional replacement for coffee? No, I haven't. I don't actually. When I went back to coffee, because I have no stomach, I get the worst GERD, that gastroesophageal reflux disorder. It just keeps coming up, and then because I had shingles through the eye, it hits this trigeminal nerve area. It gets up. Acid is not very nice when it's in the wrong spot. I'm happy with matchas. It's just interesting that the more I go through this, the more I start to see these patterns. And you do that when you clean your system out. There's things you were doing most of your life that you never saw before. And it's not that I'm going to now fix that. It's just interesting to see that my brain has been probably most of my life, instead of going, Sky, you're emotionally feeling sad, or Sky, you've got pain in your body, it's like, go have a coffee, go have a cigarette, probably go have pain medication. And this went on for years. So my body just stopped sending me messages that I'm in pain. It just sends me these addiction notes. So it's interesting because other people have said, especially emotionally, they realize they do this. Thank you, Party Boy, for cleaning out everybody who's like spamming. I'm 15 days without smoking. Cool G, you legend. Good for you. You're amazing. First part of that is extremely hard. So your skin looks beautiful. What is your moisturizer regime? Okay, it's actually very simple. I believe my skin looks good a lot because of the food I eat. It's very hydrating. I have it's all raw food. I do love Nivea. Unfortunately, it has lanolin in it. It's my only product which is not vegan. I do want to get a vegan product, but all the moisturizers I was using it were vegan, and it is something that happens when you have vegan stuff is they're much, much more expensive, and they just didn't last very long and didn't make much of a difference. It's just the blue Nivea creme. My grandmother used it. I used it when I was younger. I started reusing it actually because I was trying to trigger my memories. I was finding using older products that I used to use before my memory kind of spliced were helping me. And it's really helped my skin. So I don't know whether you guys who you were on last night. So I had a skin cancer. It was called I think it's called acne keratosis, which is a precancerous lump on my nose. And when I put the estrogen replacement, because I've had a hysterectomy and I left it for a while, for a few years, didn't use it, that back in with the Nivea, he said it's not there. I went in to have it burnt off. He goes, it's gone. And I'm like, I swear my skin just started getting better with the estrogen. And I was doing some research into it. And estrogen is extremely important hormone for females in DNA repair. It's also important for the skin barrier. It's also important for maintaining fat and also collagen production in the skin. So you add that with I only used coconut oil before that. So you add that with like much denser moisturizer. And I was telling the doctor and also asked ChatGTP, and apparently at a biological level, that's completely possible. What it just gone. He goes, nothing I do. I'm like, good. That's good. But basically, I have added in, I didn't put it on tonight, but I have added in castor oil. I usually rub castor oil and Nivea. Yeah, that's the moisturizer I use. On the surface, not much drinking, but compounded with all the drugs in your system and all the trauma your body had endured makes so much sense. Also, the hard liquor hits more than the wine. So the wine, I had to almost stop drinking and sip on little bits of vodka because of all the histamines in wine were making me so sick. But I needed the numbing effect when I was an alcoholic, what we would do to not feel, hey? But I came out of it. You can come out of it. You don't have to go as deep down as I did into the depths of losing everything, including your home. But sometimes that's what a soul needs to come back up. So you do yoga, you have a nice body. No, I do Pilates and I run. And I realize also when I don't run enough, I get addictive tendencies. And that's probably just a dopamine thing from being on so many drugs prescribed. And as you've heard, I was an alcoholic and letting go of coffee and all of that. I think I'm very regulated from running. I don't have to run every day, but every couple of days it helps. And Pilates. I like the movement with the stretches. My brain is just too active to stay still. Can you do a backflip? No. If I could, I would make a YouTube video and show you guys that. That's not something I've got to yet. My friend is obsessed with matcha. I introduced her to this matcha cake in Koreatown in LA, and she's so happy. Matcha is beautiful. Matcha, I find, because you don't get a hit from it, it's consistent. It's harder to be addictive. Even if you're going through a bad time and you have a matcha, it's really not going to fix anything. Like coffee can, cigarettes can, vaping can, alcohol can. It has to be like a hard hit for most people. For me, the most thing I notice is I'm just more focused during the day, and that's nice. But if I don't have it, it's not like my world is starting to crumble or that I obsessively think I'm not going to function without it. And that's important. Make sure also to like and subscribe, guys. We have got like I think in the last month, like 1,000 more than 1,000, maybe 1,500 new subscribers. So I'm close to getting to 5,000. So help me out there. Thank you. Skincare is definitely a large part due to diet and lifestyle. If you eat and drink clean, you do. So I will tell you a story about that. I had been, when I was battling the alcohol, and I was in my first apartment, I'm starting to eat even cleaner plant-based, and I would go ages without having a drink. Ages are probably 15 days, 20 days. And by day 10, I remember standing in the mirror every time and being like, holy crap, this is a reason not to drink. Look at my skin. And so I was when I was trying to get off alcohol, I was eating pretty clean. And I eventually ate only raw, but I was pretty sick. So just steaming some veggies was all I was kind of doing, or I don't know, some tofu here and there. Might get a bit of takeaway. I remember standing in the mirror going, holy cow. I mean, compared to that, my skin's probably freaking amazing. And that's even before, like for years, I told this story. So one of my friends is a beautician, and I saw her when I was really sick as well. And she's known me since I was younger. And I went to her a year and a half ago when I was just doing raw food with coconut oil on my skin. And I had my eyebrows done, she waxed my eyebrows. And she said, my God, your skin is absolutely incredible. What's your secret? Because she's a beautician, so she uses lots of different things. She has most of her life. I said, it's coconut oil. She goes, it's the food, isn't it? I'm like, yeah. She goes, we don't really need all this stuff, do we? And I'm like, nope. It is the food. I do think the moisturizers helped. I had a lot of pigmentation here that's completely gone. My skin is it's really good. I'm very grateful. I must say, my grandmother, who I look like, even at in her 90s, she had incredible skin. She had a few lines. So I do have that going for me as well. But I do believe the food. Does wine and beer cause yeast infections? Yes. So when you think about a yeast infection, you need to relook at that. So yeast is a fungus and bacteria grow in the body. There's microbes in the body. They're all doing something. They let off gases, expel gases, and we use them. We reabsorb them. And what happens when you have something like wine, beer, a lot of processed sugar that's mixed with, trans fats or whatever, is you start feeding these bacteria and yeasts, and it starts swinging the growth of the yeast or the fungus into like a bloom, like a bloom of bacteria or fungus we don't want. And wine and beer will do that. And I've said this before. If someone said, Friday night I have half a glass of wine with my dinner, and you don't think about it again, for another week, or maybe you do it once a month or something, it ain't going to cause you any problems. If you've had a stressful day at work and you just get through the week and you've been eating a lot of processed food and you get to the weekend and you start having a bottle of wine, and the next day you get up and you're having coffee, and it all contributes to getting leaky gut, which already kind of like throws the balance of bacteria and yeast out. But they are big feeders of, like, when I say they're not going to cause it, it's already there, but the bloom, they will bloom out, will be big. Pilates, yoga, same. Well, sort of. Not really. I'm on a reformer machine and doing like stretches and all sorts of things instead of being like still and just doing like these poses. Matcha made me spew. Maybe you need to put a little vanilla essence in or some maple syrup in your matcha, because that can make a big difference. Alcohol don't fix anything. Ain't that the truth? It's the thing about all these things, even when I have had gone back to coffee this year, is there's a few moments, especially if you have ADHD, there's a few moments where you sip that coffee and everything quietens, including my walking pace just slows down. Everything slows down. In fact, when I used to take my ADHD medication, I used to fall asleep, the stimulant medication, because it would just calm me so much, because I feel like I've got a really overactive brain. But running, ocean water, good food does so much better. But the same with alcohol is your brain seems to remember that it's in pain. Okay, you get in pain somehow. You have a stressful day at work, a fight with a good friend or a partner, and it remembers that you can have a glass of wine or a glass of alcohol, and say for half an hour to 40 minutes, that pain goes. And it'll send you that message that you can go do that for yourself. But it doesn't send you the message with that then afterwards you're going to crash out, because your body then re-regulates. So what you find with dopamine seeking or regulation with drugs is the reason it doesn't send you the second message of you're about to feel like shit, excuse my French, is because it can re-regulate with something else. So you then usually have a nachos or you order some takeaway food. So you're getting a real stimulation from that. It's like stimulation hopping. And that's more how the brain works than sending you like this big picture, this nice big picture that you may drink this bottle of wine and you'll forget your problems and you'll feel good, but then you're going to feel like crap because of the wine, because it re-regulates. So when you get up, you have a coffee, you have bacon and eggs that are all fatty. And then the next regulation comes where you might have soft drink. And then the next regulation comes where it's getting towards the afternoon. Maybe you have another coffee. Maybe you just have a beer to take the edge off. And so it's like, it's just regulating all the time. It can't send you a continual message. So it just sends you bits of messages. So what happens is the brain strengthening that comes from consistency in your life, like knowing that you're going to feel like crap when you stop these things. So stop one or two at a time. But if you fill them with good things, your brain starts to send you that and prefer that over time. But you have to be consistent with it, because when you start putting, like, I don't know, having a green juice, you don't get the hit immediately. You have to continually have the green juice to start noticing the long-term effects. And so it's like rewiring from, like, you know, the wine to ordering the nachos, to waking up having the coffee, to having the Red Bull, to having consistent, like, the sustained energy. And that's why I always suggest you do it slowly. Hello, Mauritius. I've added half a teaspoon of moringa to matcha. That's really good. A lot of people say moringa is amazing. Isn't moringa really high in iron? Is it iron or protein? It's really high in something. When is your birthday, Sky? Happy birthday. It's my birthday in 3 days, 4 days, on Wednesday. What? I can't tell if you're American, British, or Australian. I don't know whether to take that as a compliment. Hello. So is a monthly lymphatic drainage massage necessary to maintain healthy skin post 40 years? No. No, 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 no. Don't, if you get on a health journey, all you truly need, and when you can get your head into this, you're in a good space, is fresh air, good food, and you can even do your own exercise. Don't flick your addictions from doctors to, I don't know, a whole, like, I don't know what else people do. Maybe they gamble, or maybe they doctor shop, or I don't know, to coming into the health industry and buying all these herbs, buying all these lymphatic drainages, buying, they need colon washers. I promise you, once you understand that in life you need yourself and love, and loving yourself, nature is in abundance. If in my funny little apartment I can use the grassy knoll out the front and the funny little tree in the backyard, and I've grounded and found nature in psych units where you're locked up and there's only little plants around the edge, it's everywhere. And when you understand you only need yourself and nature and food, all those other things are like treats. Like, I love a good massage. I must say, seeing a good chiropractor has helped, but it's not the essence. When you understand you need nothing but yourself, you're free. So don't transfer your addictions onto, because a lot of people are like researching a lot of doctors and then this group and then members of this group to heal a disease, and then they swap it all over to the natural world, and it ain't no different. When you know that, like, the self-love, it's just, my money mostly gets spent on the raw foods because it's the only thing of monetary value that I spend money on that will reliably make me good and healthy. Everything else is like extras. Of course, I like it, but it really doesn't tip the scales here nor there. And you can get into addictive tendencies. A lot of people I've seen addicted to certain things in the natural health, which I don't even know whether there's better, to be honest. I think it's still an addiction. So, yeah. Uh, Thank you for that, roarskye. I'm telling every woman in my life that beer and wine cause yeast infection. They essentially do. One of the worst things to do is to, if you have a tendency, especially as a woman, to get a yeast infection or have an imbalance, is to start drinking those ones. Not the same. Pilates will fire up the pelvic floor muscle. Yeah, I don't think yoga and Pilates are, especially reformer Pilates, are really alike at all. It's really, yoga is about sitting in a pose and breathing into it. Pilates is kind of almost like an easier hit workout and your joints are very supported, more supported, and you don't burn yourself out, but you're kind of like flinging your legs around out the side. You're getting like really puffed out, whereas yoga, you don't do that. Oh my God, your birthday, it's on. So in America, my birthday is Tuesday, and there's a party. There's going to be an online party you guys can watch. I just haven't posted the video that's coming up. So it's the 13th at 9 a.m. for Australian Eastern Standard Time. Now, if you're in the US, Eastern Daylight Time, it will be 7 p.m. on the 12th. It's party time. It'll be my birthday. So it's on the 13th of August. Best advice I've heard this year, don't transfer your addictions. Yeah, it's so like, and I think it's what keeps people sick. And because they start seeking in the like health natural industry all these things, and that they think that's what's healed them, but when you can just heal with like what's there. And I think people can't hear me because I fling my hands around, so that's probably why. Thanks, party boy. But yeah, I definitely see that. But also, I think it's really important you understand that, back to the histamines that I was talking about before, that a histamine dump can literally drive you crazy. So histamines act as neurotransmitters in the brain. They do a lot of things in the brain. They are in hormone regulation in the body. So this morning I woke up with these histamines and my stomach's swollen, like bloated. But most people would be like, "Oh, Sky, that's not really bloated," but I can feel it, and I'm just disoriented. I get that scratching, which is like an allergy histamine related symptom, but it's like my brain scratches, my eyes scratch, my ears scratch. I'm like snappy, and you wake up at like 3 in the morning and you're like wide awake, but you're like burnt out. And usually I get rashes. I got a few marks around my ankles from last week when I had it. But yes, we want to make sure we have anti-inflammatory foods. So I am 44. I'm not even 44 yet. I tell people I'm 44. But I'm 43. I'm about to turn 44. So I'll be 44. But yes, 45 will be a good year too. What about methamphetamine reactions? What sort of methamphetamine reactions? I was on dexamphetamine for many years, and I have had methamphetamine only to kind of top that up when I've been at a nightclub, like when I've been younger and I've been out. I'm like, I used to. So when I was really sick, I would, if I could, if I had any energy, the place I want to go is to a nightclub or somewhere where someone was drinking, because it just numbed more of the pain I had in my body. And I have had it before, but I can't actually say that I've had it. Like, I mean, just a small bit. I was already on something. It was like already on something. I was already on taking dexamphetamine for ADHD, which is essentially the same sort of thing. So I don't know what your question is about the reactions. Hi, Richard. Um, Hi, Sky. It's crazy how histamine problems can make you crazy. People don't get it. They think those problems occur because they were thinking of something bad, and that's wrong most of the time. Yes, and I've done videos on how it's called Nutrient Power, a book by someone Williams, and how he actually fixes all psychiatric illness by nutrients. But it's not as simple as taking a vitamin, and it's not even as simple as taking an injection for it. You have to have a urine sample, blood sample, tissue sample. He has to match that up. And then it's because once you get a deficiency in the brain, so your body needs your blood flowing, your heart working, your digestion moving. It can put up with having small deficiencies for consciousness. Like, you can be less conscious as long as you're still breathing. Okay, so there's higher functions. That's why they kind of rot. Same with joints as we age, right? And he talks about how it's so hard to get nutrients back in the brain. But histamines literally drive me nuts. I believe the reason I did not have any psychiatric illness was until I was 36 was because, well, one, I think trauma built up, but I think once there's these histamines, and any time, in fact, has anyone heard of pyrols? And how they noticed in psychiatric, it's just not what people think. Yes, trauma adds, stress adds, but stress adds to histamines too. So pyrrole, they started to notice in psychiatric units that most people had violet urine, especially if they had schizophrenia. But a lot of psychiatric illnesses, people would give urine samples and their urine would be pink or purple. And their pyrroles, now I can't exactly, I don't have my computer with me, exactly remember exactly, they're usually in the gut, they affect the brain, but they affect like the bipolar, the neurotransmitters. It's like a gut thing, but it's just, I've spent a lot of time in psychiatric units. And the other thing that I will say about the people that are in those places is you think you've heard horror stories, but what the people that they actually schedule in those units, a lot of people come into hospital thinking they're going to be scheduled. They don't schedule hardly anyone. But the people that are in there have been through the unimaginable. But stress and cortisol create histamines, inflammation, any inflammation. And it's just not like what people think it is. I think there are traumatic breakdowns for some people where you have one instance that's so horrific, like maybe a loss of a child or something. I think there can be acute breakdowns, but I do think, because in there as well, please know in these psychiatric units, no one has just got psychiatric problems. I promise you, in those psychiatric units, those people have more health problems than I think I even have. Like, not any of them, it's just, oh, I have a mood disorder. Literally, they're missing teeth. Their stomachs are swollen out here. Half their hair's fallen out. They've got heart problems, arrhythmias. Next minute, they're rushed up to ICU for something. And then once they're stable, they're back down. It's not what people think. Like, what is that girl interrupted where it's like, I have a psych issue and I just go and no. They're like horror stories. On top of that, health issues, kind of like mine, where there's like extensive health issues. And my life story seems like a horror show. But if you had to ask me, sorry. So when I had after shingles, and I had this FND and I couldn't walk and talk and I had this severe PTSD, pyrrole showed up in my urine again. So it's not just a thought that does it. It's so much more when it comes to psych. It is 10 to 9. That's interesting. I've often wondered if dementia in elderly may be related to deficiency of some fats and assist with the brain functioning. Consider that some experience food insecurity. 100%. So I was doing this same sort of talk on this topic a few nights ago, and because some people say that Alzheimer's is diabetes of the brain, but I don't think it's that simple. What happens is basically as the body ages, is it will stop sending vital nutrients to what it doesn't need. It will survive. It just needs the heart, like the major organs, the heart, the kidneys, the digestion, and everything else. You can kind of go blind, you can lose your hearing. It doesn't need the upper processes in the brain. It's like really simple. And sadly, the more educated a doctor is, sorry for any doctors listening, but the more complex they seem to think these things are, because they break down all the chemical reactions in the brain and the neurotransmitters, and they can't see deficiencies in the brain. And you can't measure specific deficiencies in different parts of the brain. So, but it's also, so the brain has a separate lymph system called the glymph system. And that system, and this is so, the periods where I was literally dissociated the most is usually when they took me off an SSRI. I would just not be able to sleep for months. And I mean, I would pass out for 40 minutes and come to. But when you sleep is the only time this glymph system actually detoxes the brain and gets rid of all the buildup and inflammation of the brain. If you don't sleep, you have an accumulation of inflammation in the brain. If you haven't slept and tried to get through the next day of work, you know what it feels like. Can you imagine somebody who's constantly in that state? But you have to understand it's not the same cleaning system that cleans the body, which is the lymph system and the glands. And we need movement for that to be moving around the body and then into expelling the blood, which then comes out the kidneys and all of that. Is the brain is running on a separate system. So you've got to catch the bus. Will you make sure you get the bus, Sandra? or maybe poor absorption of those key nutrients due to certain medications for sure. But I think as we age, that's already happening. But grounding is massive in my healing journey. We just don't use that tool enough, and it's harder in winter. And I think I get more histamine issues. So here's a histamine story for you. I had shingles when I've been a raw foodist. And after that, I get more and more histamine issues, which is quite common post-viral. The mast cells become very overactive. You'll know if you've had long haul COVID, basically all those symptoms, those POTS, those chronic fatigue, that tinnitus, that's all histamines. So I was finding it really hard to stabilize. And I was getting so bad when I was eating histamine foods, my throat would get tight. And I had to go meet my niece to watch her play netball. And I knew the power of when I was trying to heal myself, when I couldn't stabilize my body, especially coming off a lot of drugs and medications, is I would go outside and on the earth with bare feet, soles on the earth, and I would start to stabilize. So I had to go meet her. So I'm watching a netball game. I took my shoes off and just stood on the earth. I wasn't on the earth. I was actually on the cement of the netball game in the sun. 15 minutes and all my histamine issues stopped. Because we are a direct current. This body is a direct current. Every electrical point and every light here is all alternate currents. And those start to destabilize the body. And what they know is that if you put your blood under a microscope when you are ungrounded, it's stuck. All the red blood cells start to slowly come together more. Somebody stands on the earth, they slowly start to separate, and you get flow back into the body. Also, the cells of the body, including the brain, are channeled gateways. So when you are ungrounded around a alternate current, is these channels just start letting in protons and neutrons through the walls, and electrons, and like a bit of calcium here and a bit of hydrogen there, unregulated. So we want, and the reason I do omega-3s and I stay grounded is we want strong cell walls that let in the correct transmission, because that's communication. So anyway, basically what I'm saying is grounding is literally a life force you've got to get into. And there's different grounding for when I'm on rocks, when I'm on the beach and laying, when I'm in the ocean, when I've got my soles just walking on grass. Every time I'm on different matter, I feel differently grounded. So it's like something where people like, and I would have thought when I was really sick, oh no, I need a really amazing medication that's going to fix me. No, I needed grounding and raw food. Go to bed, you're drunk at 6 a.m. I don't drink. Flaxseed is great for omega-3s. It does. If I have a flare up, I will go to the fridge and I haven't had enough flaxseed oil. I will go to the fridge, start having it, and all of my histamine issues will stop. And the reason I haven't gone to taking Quertus, and there is anyone following who wants to know more about mast cell activation, in the description you can get the folder that I've created, which has lots of information. It has what I eat in a day. It has natural antihistamines like quercetin and vitamin C, which I don't take because the delivery system can sometimes set people off, and I fall into that. I'm better with just natural things, but flaxseed oil is amazing. I stopped eating almost all fruit because it has histamines or releases it. I had that problem too. I was doing a lot of fruit as a raw foodist, and there's a few things, but it does have a lot of histamines in it. I also think, what you'll learn if you have mast cell activation about histamines is anything which topples the body quickly, the body just sends mast cells. Well, that's its job. Is anything that happens in the body, it heats up to process it, right? But the mast cells and histamines just start overreacting. And with sugar and not having a stomach, is the fruit goes straight into the. I have a blood sugar spike much bigger than most people. That was setting me off, and yeah, that was not good for me. So it's about what I recommend with mast cell activation syndrome is listen to what everybody's saying about it, but don't think all of it applies to you. Some people can even eat histamine foods at certain times. Some other times it really bothers them. It can swing back and forth. But omega-3s, taking magnesium at night, staying grounded, eating the most natural food you can, staying less stressed and sleeping well is the key. Because even if someone gives you an antihistamine, it isn't getting rid of histamines, it's just blocking the receptor site so you don't get irritations. So you really want to work on nature. Maybe it's sending us all back to what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to all be more natural and, connected to Mother Nature and Earth and ourselves. So nature is forcing us back by giving us immune responses when we drift too far away. Is any of what you're saying backed by credible scientific evidence? All of it is. If you go into the folder, you can see that. What part don't you think is backed by scientific evidence? It's really funny people say that because in this day and age, you can actually just search yourself. I have 11 kids. Yeah. So that's the thing in this day and age is if you want to get the journal articles, which someone obviously isn't going to be able to bring up on a live, is just have a talk to ChatGTP about anything that I've said and ask for some science-backed, not just science-backed, but some journal articles on it. Histamines, mast cells, they're in the immune system in the body. They go into any inflammation. That's their job. But yeah, you need to be more specific about what you're referring to. Yes. So I just had a eureka moment. So taking magnesium at night is the trick. The trick is, first off, you have to have a good lifestyle. There is no one supplement. And this is what people learn when they go into healing their gut or their hormones or histamines and mast cells, is there's no one drug that will fix it. There's no one drug that fixes anything. You need to have a good lifestyle, a good diet, good sleep, and low stress. That's the first thing. Then if that doesn't work, what are the easiest, like not easiest, but the more natural things I can do? And I'm so sensitive to everything that I don't take supplements except a B12 shot once a year. But I saw my doctor this week and he told me to stop that. He said your B12's too high even for once a year. So I don't know, my body's holding on to nutrients. So apparently I'm off that for now. I only take the magnesium. If you're in Australia, I highly recommend this brand, not sponsored. I've tried other brands, but and go to the website and have a look at the magnesium breakdown. This has all the magnesiums without added zinc, without added, I don't know, putting all sorts of things in these things these days. This is literally magnesium glycinate, magnesium citrate, magnesium chelate, magnesium aspartate, tetrahydrate. It's all magnesium, but I find this helps me sleep. It helps my muscles, helps muscle regulation, which magnesium does. It helps my bowel movements in the morning, which it does. It has an osmotic effect, forces water into the bowel, but also it helps with muscles as well in the bowel. It helps with the brain. It helps stabilize mast cells. Magnesium's used in, I think it's the enzymes, like DAO. It helps in that. It helps with everything in the body. You can't go wrong. Oh, I lost. Oh, does Orthy say that? And I didn't even notice. Thank you, party boy. Are you in your 60s? Not yet, but we do these lives so we can get to our 60s and our 70s, our 80s, and hopefully I'm still doing these at 100. And maybe you need some glasses. Awesome, yeah, or some raw food, or some self-love. Yeah. You'd have, seriously, I know what women look like my age. Not all of them, but most of them. And so when people say like age things, I'm really not offended. Plus, come on, guys, they used to look like this. Like you can't really offend someone that used to look like that at 36. And that it's when people like talk about looks to me, that just shows like spiritually, emotionally, physically, I'm sick. It's not, so I don't really judge people like they're bad because they look bad. It's me seeing a reflection of somebody's emotional and physical and spiritual state. And so, yes, I am free to judge because do I want to take information of someone that looks like this? I wouldn't. Like I had nothing to give good at this time. Um, or here, I hadn't learnt what I needed to learn yet. So, yeah, you can't really offend me. Sorry, guys. Um, I also have a lot of self love. I think no, people come on here and they're like, "Are you 60? Are you 80?" And I'm like, I don't think I look like even 44, to be honest. But everyone's entitled to their opinion. Um, so, oh, thank you. Yeah, I definitely feel healthier now. I definitely feel better. Much better now. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, I am 44 this week. I'm actually just happy to be alive. I didn't think I'd be alive, let alone be alive and doing these lives. There you go. Be alive and doing the lives in my pajamas, apparently. Um, but yeah, no, but pretty much I'm in my pajamas because that's how I've been today. I didn't even know. I didn't even feel like getting up and putting my hair up, which will turn curly and nice because I'm doing a YouTube video tomorrow with my niece. We're going to make my 4-ingredient chocolate donuts, guys, for my birthday. So you'll get to see those. There's just sweet potato, cacao or carob, dates, and chia in the chocolate donuts. And then they go into the dehydrator. And then you top them with cashew, cacao or carob, and date icing. They're so good. I've been working out, eating healthy. Good for you, DXR. I'm weighing 123 kilograms. Can you shout out my brother? That's just, I don't know why people come on here. Maybe they're drunk. Is that what happens? Is it like a prank call thing? It might be karma. I used to prank people when I was younger. Maybe they're like coming on, it's like their prank call thing. I don't know. I want to hit 60 kilograms by June 2026. I believe you can do it. You've got this. I mainly eat boiled foods. Hello. As long as okay, here's the trick about a health journey or healing journey is you have to find a way to love the foods. I'm not here to force you into raw foods. Sorry, got some tan. I put some tan on. Um, I'm not here to force you into raw foods, but whatever diet you're doing, find a way to love it. They might be, maybe. I'm thinking they're 15-year-olds. When I was 14 and 15, the highlight of my Saturday night was calling someone and saying something stupid. It's karma. It comes back at you. So, yeah, you have to find a way to love whatever diet you're doing. What I notice on the internet is the people who seem to thrive find recipes, creativity, fun in whatever their lifestyle is. That's what I suggest. I also quit Sig's cold turkey. Congratulations! I feel like I got taller. I'm 27, but my posture is way better. Good for you. Lol, those are the days. Sadly, I have this memory. We had this is so sad. This shows what I was like as a teenager. We had some line called the Kids Helpline. And I used to think it was funny to call up and say my period had changed color and wait for their response and laugh. Like, I don't even know how that's basically what these people are doing on here, right? It's like mini me's have come out. We miss the coconut water. I miss the coconut water too. I need to bring that back. I've tried to, because I'm trying to but coconut a day is going to keep the doctor away. I need to bring them back actually. Um, our minds as teens were crazy. They were. They were. There could have been a lot worse I was doing than calling up a helpline though. Or just pranking. I don't know whether I pranked random people. I can't remember now. I just have a memory of doing that. Uh, the farting monkey is loving you. I don't even know what to say Okay. Did you notice a difference in eating watermelon versus juicing it? Fiber can be a problem, so juicing can help. Okay. I feel like if you're going to do watermelon, eat it. Get that fiber in. I feel like I ran into problems, but I don't have a stomach, just juicing. I think if you're going to juice because you've got bad digestion, do veggies and greens. Of course, have a watermelon juice here or a fruit juice there, but I swear, even Yaki Awakening was saying how he healed diabetes having a lot of fruit juices. But then afterwards, he couldn't have any sugars because he damaged his pancreas from all the juicing sugar. And this is after I'd been juicing fruit juices. I kept vomiting up fruits. I could eat other things, but I couldn't eat fruits. Like it made me so, it was like having the most sickly sweet something and I just start gagging on it. It's another thing. If fruits start tasting really sweet, like sickly sweet, you're getting a massive blood sugar spike. Listen to what your body's telling you. If you're eating it and it just tastes normal and everything's okay and you're enjoying, but if things start tasting, like you might be getting to the end of the watermelon or something, it's getting really sweet, or maybe one day you have it and it's really sweet. Maybe have it with some cucumber or some, I don't know, blueberries, which aren't as like sweet. Because that's your body telling you what's going on in the system, that this is like a jump from where about here. And it's just, the body tells us. We just seem to think we need to read books and look at monitors to work stuff out, but no, we don't. I used to prank call my friends in restaurants. I have this feeling that we did that too. Have you seen the funny ones on TikTok where they called two Asian restaurants, Chinese restaurants, and put the phones together? It's like, hello, can I take your order? And the other one goes, yes, order please. And the other one's going, what's your order? It just went on. It's quite funny. Obviously, this teen part of me is still inside of me. I just want to check my heaters on. That's really sad that I actually still find that funny. But I think if it was another restaurant, they would have figured it out, but they just kept asking. Is this on? It is on. But look, I think that's a ritual in growing up, right? We all kind of did that, didn't we? Well, maybe how embarrassing if it's just me and Party Boy and we're like, yeah, we pranked people. Shows our consciousness. We're all just big kids. We are. We definitely are. Back then it was a laugh. It was. I wouldn't do it now. Or would I? No, I wouldn't. Well, obviously, this is what people come on here and do. I think people are just I think everyone went through the stage of pranking people. Or maybe they're all going, oh, I didn't. I must have missed out. They're like, I missed that initiation of growing up with the pranking someone. But it's so funny. I used to find it so funny. Like I literally remember it being the highlight of a Saturday. Well, I could say night, but my bedtime was probably 8:30. So it was more like, well, like 7 o'clock. I'm just going to ring, I don't know, obviously this helpline. Maybe they found it funny too. I don't know. Even how I came up with the things that I said to them is crazy. So, what the hell? I'm sure people did all sorts of things. I remember my dad telling me, was it my dad or someone else's dad, that when he was growing up, he put a firecracker under his teacher's desk. And I'm like, I don't think I ever did anything like that. Like, what would happen? That doesn't sound very safe. I think we get safer. I see kids now are just online trolling. I was actually physically prank calling, and apparently my dad's generation, I don't know whether it was my dad or my friend's dad, they were like, we'll just put the firecracker under the teacher's desk. Here's a story. I'm not a granny yet. I will never actually be a granny because I didn't have any kids. Was never even a mum. I'm just a big kid who doesn't prank anymore. I'm past my pranking era. So, greetings from Perth. Ah, Perth. What time is it there? It is 9:13 in Sydney. My dad's friend tried to light his farts on fire. I know guys that did that. I'm acting like it's not normal, but like I think when I would go out, guys would do this. I have memories of guys doing this. The sad thing is I was there. Apparently they didn't even think it was nice to leave the room. Like, I think like they probably still do it. See, this is why, but they were usually drunk. That's the difference. See, this is why we've moved to green juices, grounding, all sorts of health things, so we don't do things like that anymore. What are they doing? Oh, God. I have very strange memories of, yeah, guys would have drinks and do all sorts of things. I'm sure they're in this live. They're just choosing not to own up to some of the things that they've done. I think this live's gone completely south. The trolls have won. Either that or it's confession time. These are my confessions. I know the trauma starts there. The trauma all started when I saw guys lighting their farts in my teeth. It probably did. It was a warning sign, like literal warning sign. Your life's about to turn to crap. Hi. Have we got any more health questions or have we gone through all this? Oh, it's always good vibes here, guys. It is always good vibes. Oh, what was that? Oh, no. I think I answered all the questions. I'm engaging, I'm trying. We can only go downhill from there. Well, we try and reclaim ourselves, I feel like. I don't think that happens in our 30s. I think by the time we get to our 40s, we realize like our youth is over and was wasted. And when I mean wasted, I mean we aren't actually conscious when we're young of how precious the youth is. Like it just all of a sudden in your 40s you're like, "Oh, it's gone." Like not it's gone, but it's going. Like you take for granted your youth. And then, like, because I've brought this up before, is there's that, I don't know where I saw this, but someone said, like, however old you are today, you will never be this young again. So enjoy it. It was like a poem where a lady woke up and she was 38 and her kids were crying and her husband was like yelling out for something. And she had been a 78-year-old woman. She woke up as herself as 38. And when she was 38, she would have been upset with the kids and her husband, but she was so grateful that she could be that young. She moved her limbs again. She hugged her kids who were young again. And we just don't see life like that. We think life is just like we have such attitude and like we want more and more as a kid, and before we know it, that like precious youth is gone. I'm 33 and I'm feeling it. I'm from India. I'm 37 and I've never felt that good. I'm sorry you've never felt that good. I promise you, if you start improving like the food and grounding more, it all helps. Why are Ukrainian women gold diggers? I don't know. Maybe it's their culture. I didn't know that. I know that the Slavic women are really into being skinny. Is like a trend on TikTok, but I didn't know that the Ukrainian women gold diggers. A lot of the time, like they say that if you marry for money, you deserve every cent you get. Imagine being with someone that you don't care about every single day. I mean, a lot of people struggle being with someone they do care about. Imagine being with someone you don't care about. People care about someone and they still can't live with them. Go sleep in the same bed with them at least. Yes, I like that, party boy. So you're right, PJ. I was 40 when I started feeling my best. So favorite beer. So my favorite beer, I don't drink beer anymore. It's coconut water. If you've been, I'm wanting a coconut water now and I don't have any. I could green juice, but it's a bit late. We're just doing water. So hello, Andy. Look, if I can go from this at 40, to this at 44, you can do it. And it's not just about looks, like how like energized and clear and happy and reaching my goals I am, is really what it's about. Greetings from Scotland, or greetings from Sydney. You did start the coconut cravings, but at least coconut cravings are not like, they're just fine. They're normal cravings. They're like, I want one, but I don't need it. You're 40. Hopefully 40, happy and healthy. That's what we love to hear. Are you in Israeli? Is that North Carolina? I'm about to go there actually. About to go New York, North Carolina, Canada, Florida, LA in 2 weeks. Those lives will be fun, won't they? Coconuts around the world. That's what I should do a series of. Okay, you're from Australia. I can't this, but have you heard? Okay, let me tell this story again. So, when I was about 20 something, or maybe 19, maybe 18, pretty young. So, I lived in Australia on the water in the bush. So, the next house was not that far away, but I was in the national park. So, my sister and I we had shared a bathroom, and we'd put our towels in the bathroom, and I would grab one for my body and one for my head. And I got out of the shower and I grabbed the one for my body, and I'm like wiping down my body, and then I grabbed the other one, flipped my head forward, put it back up. You know, you do the windy thing and put it back up. And then I went into my bedroom, and I flipped my towel down on the bed, and there is this massive funnel web. Like massive funnel web on the top. Now, if I had rubbed that towel on my body and it bit me, because they kill you. Anyway, I scream, and my dad and my boyfriend are upstairs, and they're like, I'm like, spider! And they're like, you're probably just whinging. They came down, and the thing's like backed up. They're like, oh my God, it's a funnel web. So that's like my spider story, that I had a funnel web on my head, but they're quite common. But because they funnel, they don't actually have a web, but they funnel into like towels and washing machines. So that's my spider story. Amazon once sent me a case of coconut water by accident. That's a good accident, but it was a great mistake. That is. I need someone to send me I want to live on an island with just coconut trees. That would make me happy. And make me happy. Good morning. Hello from Canada. Where in Canada are you going to? I don't know. If you know who Jillian Berry is, she's my best friend. She's plant-based as well and does all raw food content. So if you saw, we went to Hawaii and Kauai last year, and this time we're doing New York, maybe Toronto? Is that where maybe? So then she's taking me on some sort of adventure all over places. We're finishing in LA. So it should be fun. And because she does content and I do content, there'll be lots of content. It'll be like content world. So I think Toronto or near Toronto. In what state? I'm in New South Wales, Sydney in New South Wales. I'm in Australia, and I'd take spiders and snakes over bears and mountain lions any day. True, but it's probably because we're used to it. Don't you reckon? Like, so one of my friends sent me, so she's picturing like, I'm here, and you got to be careful of cans, you got to be careful of jellyfish and like alligators, crocodile. I speak to Americans. Crocodiles, and there's sharks, and then you're here, and there's like sharks and spiders. And then my friend sends me a picture of a deer she's from Canada, Newfoundland, I think, a deer or something on an iceberg floating past her house. And I'm like, what sort of sorcery is this? She's like, sorcery? What about where you live? I think it's like a cultural thing. Like, I didn't know people could have icebergs with animals floating past their window. What? So, yeah. Redback spiders. I nearly lent to one of them as a kid. I went to lean back in a sandbox, and Dad grabbed me because in the corner of the sandbox was a big, not only redback, all the little baby red things. They're red when they're babies. They're not red and black. They're just red. I've seen a few snakes. In the UK is dogs, sheep, and rams. That's so funny. Oh my God, I've heard that before. Meryl Streep. I think it might be where how my hair is sitting. Maybe that's when people say I look like Meryl Streep. It is. It's got to be that hair. I saw someone else comment that. I look like the Queen. It's because now tomorrow my hair will be nice and curly. Are you Scandinavian? You'd be surprised how much I get asked that. No, I am. If you go, I look like my dad, and my dad's genetic, what is it called? When he had his genes tested, he was English, Irish, and Scandinavian. So, and I look like my dad. So there's some Scandinavian there. My ex was from Perth, but was a teacher in Wickham, WA. Who was born 15 minutes ago? Yes, I follow Jillian. I found you through her. I love you both. Thanks for following us, Sari. It's still interesting to see your approach as a raw vegan across various major cities with all the differences. I lived in LA for decades and New York before and after, and they're so different that way. I have heard that it is very easy to be a raw, probably expensive, but very easy to be a raw foodist in New York because there's just smoothie bars and juice bars and there's raw restaurants. But I think it's probably expensive for produce, but this is a holiday experience. And I know LA would be easy. You've got places like Erewhon. I've seen people go to all these raw restaurants. There's lots of raw foodists in LA. So, in fact, North Carolina had this massive list of raw food restaurants. We don't even have any in Australia. So it will be fun. It's always fun with Jillian because we're both raw. Like when you're with somebody who's so similar to you and you both eat the same, if you're a raw vegan, you know what this is like. Is you're never around raw vegans. So when you are, it's just weird. Like not weird. It's just natural. Like. And like it's really funny because when we're together, or not even when we're together, when we're talking all the time, is all we do is laugh. So it's like, you know, people like think they need alcohol and things like that. No, like we just eat raw food, have fun, and just laugh, 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 laugh. Laughing is so much fun. It's good for your stomach muscles too. I remember your American friend who thought you guys rode kangaroos to school. Yes. I bet you there's people on this live who thought that I rode kangaroos to school. Aboriginals eat tails of croc eggs, etc. in prisons. I don't think that the Aborigines get crocodile tail eggs in prison. I don't think they get much of anything in prison. I don't think there's crocodile tails and eggs in prison. I also have a friend who wants to hug a koala really bad. I haven't even hugged a koala actually. Your skin looks really good for your age. What's your secret? Raw foods. Raw foods, raw foods, raw foods. So this is me on like a cooked vegan diet, though I had been. That's at 39. This is at 44. I promise you it's the raw foods. The raw foods are like, they just make everything come back to life because you're so hydrated. You've got so many nutrients and so many minerals, and your hair just grows and your nails grow and all the disease goes from your body. I'd love, people want to hear like that there's a secret, like that there's one thing that fixes everything. And the secret I always tell everybody is, the secret is you have to look after yourself. It is the daily exercise, it is the food, it is the low stress, good sleep, spiritual connection to yourself. So you eat Vegemite. I don't eat Vegemite because I'm a raw vegan. But even when I was younger, I wasn't a veggie girl. My sister was a Vegemite girl. She had a Vegemite on pancakes, crumpets, French toast. I think she might have had it on pasta. My sister, when we lived in America for 8 months, we lived in Houston, Texas. Everyone that visited had to bring a massive tub of Vegemite. My sister literally only lived because of Vegemite. I was never like that. I was a here and there, but not a Vegemite girl. He didn't have his genes tested. They were looking for specific genetic markers to find out who had a good bloodline to exploit. No, I think my sister gifted my parents get their genomes checked for Christmas 2 years ago. And then they just, because they got the gift, they just went to the place and tested it. And then they sent out the results. And then randomly he just told me. I'm not sure what the exploit part in there is. I don't even think if my sister gave the gift, they'd even care. Thank you, Andy. My ex was Princess Diana's third cousin. My ex-mother-in-law and Princess Diana's dad are first cousins. Mrs. last name Spencer. That's amazing. Hello, where are you from? Sydney, Australia. Hey, John. Oh, how was camping? I'm very jealous. I want to go camping because then you're really grounded. I'd love that. Raw food, nature, it's like the best. It's so much fun. Hello, welcome to the party. Well, I'm in my pajamas. It's almost like a pajama party. I cannot now stop thinking about coconuts. In Washington State, West Coast, USA. It ain't your booty, it's your beauty. Did I ever tell you guys about when I was younger, I was at this club? I'm sure I've told this story. And this guy, I've heard some pickup lines before, but this guy came up to me because my dad worked near this club or this bar. And this guy came up and he's like, I know your dad. And I was like, oh, you know my dad. I was waiting for the day where someone that worked with or for my dad said, I know you. And I'm like, oh, you know my dad? He goes, yeah, your dad is a Sama. And I'm like, my dad's a Sama? And he goes, yeah, Osama bin Laden, because you're the bomb. And I'm like, I spat my drink all over this guy. I'm like, is this really happening? What's that? Like, what? That's probably the funniest pickup line I've ever heard. Oh. I'm sure people have probably heard better. But that is like, I think also because my brain was thinking that this guy actually knew my dad. So my brain is like, oh, he probably does work, contract work, or, you know, they're in the same office. This is a kind of embarrassing. And I was just completely taken off guard there. So, yeah, I still to this day, when I tell that story, nobody has topped that one. That's the bomb. And he said, the bomb, because you're the bomb. I am 44 in 3 days. I'm 44, but my heart, I feel, will always be 8. I am young at heart. I tell you what else helps me, which is looking a bit scruffy and he's lost an eye, is my teddy. Look how scruffy he looks. When I first healed, I got him. Because, you know, I'm roarskye. She is a baby lion. And she's lost an eye. But she's my, like, support animal. So, oh, thank you. I look 30. Someone else thought I looked 60. Liverpool, UK in the house. Oh my God, I've heard you. How about your legs? They must be tired. You've been running through my mind all night. Did it hurt? Did what hurt? When you fell from heaven? I still think the bomb one's the best. It was just like, I wonder if he thought I was going to say, yeah, let's go date. Because I'm the bomb. I need an attack-trained pet wombat. You guys are crazy. Oh my God, wombat? Oh my God, I have a wombat story. So when I was in school camp, when I was younger, I went to go to the bathroom, and on the way back, I could hear, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know what was after me. And then I heard this whole squad or batch of them. And I'm running to the tent and I dive in the tent with my friend and then I stick my head out and there's all these little beady eyes. They're wombats. They make funny noises. And when you're a girl, how old would I be? 14, coming back from the toilets? I didn't know what was happening. And look, I wonder if he made that one up. Newton A. Cliff here from UK. I'm the milk and I'll do your body good. I don't know what, I haven't heard that. The wombat, it were not just one wombat, like a whole pack of wombats in the dark. That was crazy. I reckon probably, I don't know, most guys I kind of thought had pickup lines. They like had one in their back pocket, but it was more of a joke, wasn't it? I don't know, is there any guys out there that actually had pickup lines and that were like, hey, I will use this and like, I don't know, grab myself a woman who's the bomb? I have a wombat sign with a suction mirror. I think a lot of Aussies have those. They stick them on the back of their cars, or is that just an Aussie thing, like a little suction thing with a little yellow, just kind of swings? I lost my number, can I have yours? That's a good one, but that probably actually works. That's like a normal one. I want to hear the pickup lines where guys like, yeah, I had this amazing pickup line. I was just going to hook myself a wife. I had a friend who used to go fishing. So this guy friend of mine used to cast a line and just disappear and follow the line. Oh my God. Bye, John. They are jokes. You're the only 10 I see. Well, that's nice. I think that's a compliment. I need friends to pep me up like that. I can't think of any more. Obviously, didn't get used on me very often, but this guy was dead serious that was talking to me. You're from Yorkshire. Thank you. Was your dad a thief because he stole the stars and put them in your eyes? Did you actually use that though? I spat drink on this guy. Like I literally, like, is this actually happening? He took me by surprise. You must be a speeding ticket because you look fine. Oh my God. Maybe like because probably if there's any Gen Zs here, I doubt there is. But they would probably be like, what is that? I'll have to ask my nieces. They would be shocked. They would be like, you're not serious, are you? Wait, oh, like if you like clothes, there's a sale at my house tomorrow night, all clothes 100% off. That's a good one. You were looking around for hidden cameras like you were on a prank show. Who was? Oh yeah, when he said that I was. No, I was. He was so serious. He was too serious to be in a prank show. Are you Irish? No, I am not a leprechaun. I am Conway. My surname is Irish, so I'm part Irish. Well, apparently my dad's genetic stuff that came back and I look like my dad, but part Irish. But I think there was a lot of English in there. I'm pretty fast on my feet that way. That's what we want. But see, laughing's good for the soul. We should all be laughing more. Maybe we should just have segments of coconut waters and jokes. All the funny things that happen in a day. In fact, some of the most I ever laughed in my life was when I was in a psych unit. Some of the things that happen in those places, like you just are like, it should be. Do you know an Irish honeymoon is over? How do you know an Irish honeymoon is over? How? When Peter goes to Dublin. I don't get it. You can't be English, you're lovely, God bless you. That was not a joke. I don't know, I'm Australian. I think we all floated over from England, right? We've only been around for 200 years, so we don't have much heritage. We're pretty much all English. Not well, there was already Aboriginals here. There's quite a big, because we're very close to Asia, so there's a big Asian culture. We're very, what's the word? Multicultural here in Australia, which is good because a lot of the food combinations, though I make my own now, we have a lot of different, and I have garlic on the floor here. I was drying garlic on my light and I forgot when I brought it in, so I have garlic on my floor. I do remember Savage Garden. Angela Kelly, the Australian actress. No? When you were in those places, did you ever just watch the craziness and think, I'm not crazy enough for this? Often. Everyone had their unique crazy, like no two crazies were the same. So you put it all together and what do you got? You got a circus. Like, because everyone had their like obviously unique way of dealing with trauma. And in there as well, you just, like when you've got no inhibitions, and then they drug you as well, it's like probably some of the funniest things I've ever seen, especially when you think back and you're like, how do people heal? No one heals there. It's not like a circus. But laughing's good. When you can laugh back at something, it's like when somebody tells me like some sort of story, like me last night, where I was walking around the live with my tag hanging out for ages. I'm like, oh, I must look great. I've got new pants on. And then I look back and you guys are like, girl, your tag. And I'm like, those are the things we live for, right? So I'd say they should make a show out of it, but that's exploitive. At least it makes the time pass. In those places, all you want is the time to pass. You've got nothing to do. My question, do you have cute feet and toes? Of course I do. If I could rearrange the alphabet, I'd put you and I together. I like that one. That's a good one. We've gone from me starting my day feeling bloated, uncomfortable, anxious, crazy, addictive tendencies to like letting it all out online and it turning into processing jokes and pickup lines. They are coming out. Well, it's Saturday night. Saturday night. Well, it's Saturday night for me. It is Saturday night, isn't it? Yeah, Saturday night. I had to think then. You like to play bingo. Not really. Is this going to be a pickup line? I feel like you might be Googling these, which is fine by me. Which is definitely fine by me. I'm from Yorkshire. Every time I think of Yorkshire, I think of those puddings. Don't they make like a Yorkshire pudding? Get a real job, you loser. What does that mean? There's no need to be rude. Was that one of those prankers, those karma prankers coming through? I don't know what that means. Maybe that was gone over my head. All right, guys. I think I'm going to go to sleep. Get up in the morning and make chocolate donuts. Well, first off, I'll get up in the morning and do Pilates. Don't you love it how I get up, I run in my little hair roller. I do Pilates in my hair roller. I get online in my hair roller, but then I might show up later online with beautiful hair. They are good. They're really easy. You can probably do them in the oven. They're literally just sweet potato blended with dates, raw cacao or carob, and some chia seeds. I look like Professor McGonagall. How do I know that name? Is that from, oh, I do kind of, don't I? From, that's why people think I look like Meryl Streep. It's the hair. Maybe I need to do my hair like Pamela Anderson and people will be like, oh, you look like Pamela Anderson from back in the day. But yeah, I do look a bit school mommy. A bit like a school mom. It shows how much hair affects our perception, right? Anyway, this is bedtime, Sky. Have a good night, guys. It was lovely. It was wonderful. And I'll see you tomorrow.